Hello everybody, my name is Ashanti, and my proposition today is that the legalization of hemp cultivation would have a positive effect on the United States economy. I'm going to prove this to you guys by showing you that one, hemp is different from marijuana and is wrongly grouped with its psychoactive cousin as far as national cannabis policy goes. Two, that hemp has numerous profitable industrial uses. And finally, the criminalization of hemp cultivation has had a negative impact on the United States economy. So first of all, hemp is quite different from marijuana, and it's often very wrongly grouped with marijuana as far as cannabis policy goes. So, one might ask, what's the difference between hemp and marijuana? Hemp and marijuana both come from the same species of plant, known as cannabis. Hemp, however, is not psychoactive in the same way that marijuana is. It's actually barely psychoactive at all, and it's impossible to get high from the hemp plant. According to the North American Industrial Hemp Council, it's impossible to get high off any part of the hemp plant because industrial hemp has a THC content between 0.05 and 1%. Whereas marijuana's THC content ranges anywhere from 3 to 20%. To receive a standard psychoactive dose of hemp would require a person to power smoke 10 to 12 hemp cigarettes over an extremely short period of time. The large volume and high temperature of vapor gas and smoke would be almost impossible for said person to withstand. So if hemp's not psychoactive, if it doesn't make you high, and it's not marijuana, then why is hemp illegal? Well, hemp is illegal for a number of reasons, but the basic answer would be that hemp was grouped in with marijuana during a rather racially sensationalized political campaign to exterminate marijuana use. And hemp was thrown in there with marijuana simply because the leaves look similar. Argument number two is that hemp has numerous profitable industrial uses. The United States imports an estimated $500 million of hemp products every year, products that we could be cultivating and distributing ourselves. Hemp's industrial uses are numerous. They include, but are not necessarily limited to, clothing and textiles, food and beverages, paper, building materials, and even automobile fuel. According to hempbasics.com, on an annual basis, 1 acre of hemp would produce as much fiber as 2 to 3 acres of cotton. Hemp fiber is stronger and softer than cotton, lasts twice as long, and does not mildew. Also, on an annual basis, 1 acre of hemp would produce as much paper as 2 to 4 acres of trees. It takes years for trees to grow until they can be harvested for paper or wood, but hemp is ready for harvesting only 120 days after it is planted. All types of paper can be produced from hemp, and the quality of hemp paper is greater than that of tree-based paper. Hemp paper lasts hundreds of years without degrading, can be recycled more times than tree paper, and requires less toxic chemicals to process. So if hemp is better and more sustainable than trees for paper production, but only 95%, only 5% of paper is produced by hemp. The other 95% is produced by trees. And then third and finally, the criminalization of hemp cultivation has had a negative impact on the United States economy. One reason is that the United States is the only industrial country in which industrial hemp is not an established crop. Now there's several states that have voter-led initiatives to legalize the industrial cultivation of hemp, including here in California, but due to federal policy, none of these voter-led initiatives have taken any ground. But countries that grow hemp include Canada, China, India, the UK, pretty much every single westernized industrialized country in the world grows and cultivates hemp, except for here in the United States. And the restriction of this hemp cultivation in the United States hinders our economic growth and entrepreneurship. Due to cannabis cultivation being illegal, or rather hemp cultivation being illegal, it's hindered the ability for entrepreneurs to explore the ideas of hemp being used as a biofuel, our ability to explore it as a building material and as paper and as a food product. And then third, the sale and exportation of hemp products would produce significant revenue for the United States economy. According to the Congressional Research Service, Canada alone exported $10 million worth of hemp products to the United States last year. And current industry estimates report that if the United States were to legalize the cultivation of hemp, hemp-based products would exceed $300 million in revenue during just the first year of cultivation. So there we have it. The legalization of hemp cultivation would have a positive effect on the United States economy because hemp has numerous profitable industrial uses, including food and beverages, clothing and textiles, paper, building material, and fuel, and because the criminalization of hemp cultivation has led to a negative impact on the United States economy. Thank you guys very much.
All right, the propositions clearly explained. The contents are laid out pretty easily, so there aren't any structural issues that I see as being problematic. Some of the reasoning and the evidence issues, there are a couple of places where there are some problems. For instance, just thinking about the third point where you're talking about the economic benefit, $10 million sounds pretty good to me. If I own my own company, that would, and it was $10 million that we were talking about. You're talking about a whole industry, and the estimate is $300 million on it. Again, that's probably not something to sneeze at from an individual or even a small organization's point of view. But if you're talking about a benefit to the U.S. economy, $300 million, it seems like it's microscopic compared to all the kinds of other things that happen on a daily basis when it comes to money. All right, back there, it's like, what was there an estimate about how many billions of dollars we got lost because of the shutdown? $300 million, that's basically one bad movie from Hollywood. And so I'm not saying that it doesn't mean something to somebody, but is in terms of significance, it's a little bit problematic. And then when you talk about this argument that the prohibition has limited our ability to do research on this, well, that seems a little strange. If it's legal every place else in the world, are we the only people in the world who can do research? And so, it seems to, it begs the question as to why hemp is really not used for all these other things. Is it really because it's illegal here and we don't do research on it, or is it because there's really nothing there? Otherwise, all these other countries would have found it. It seems like that's something that is a little bit problematic for your argument. I did think that you did a pretty good job trying to talk about some of the benefits of hemp in comparison to other products, and you had some nice statistical information, for instance, about land use and about how quickly paper products could utilize hemp products. That's all well and good. It just feels like it's a pretty small economic issue that we're worrying about here. And then there is the question whether or not legalization of hemp products, for instance, and the cultivation of hemp would have the problem of making it more difficult to enforce marijuana laws. Even accepting the principle that hemp is not dangerous, but if we can't distinguish hemp from the THC-laden marijuana, that becomes a problem for enforcement in determining whether or not crops are being utilized appropriately. I can just see, if I got my tobacco farm in Kentucky and I've converted it to hemp, and that's what I tell everybody because I'm making paper, but what I'm really doing is making ganj, and exporting it who knows where, then I could see that there might be a little bit of a problem. So, whether the trade-offs, that's the issue. Are the trade-offs significant enough? And that's where I think you need to build the argument a little bit more, suggesting that the trade-offs really are enough to justify industrial hemp. All right, thank you.